Stop. Don't move. You are standing on a fortune. Millions of red gemstones right under your boots. I am not talking about a jewelry store. I mean a real beach. Every handful of sand shot through with blood-red crystals. Here is what most people miss. With a $3 rare earth magnet and an $8 jeweller's loop, you can spot, test, and confirm real garnets right there in the field. I will show you the magnet test, the scratch test, and the one mistake that sends most amateurs home empty-handed. By the end, you will know how to separate worthless glass from a $500 stone, and you will have the coordinates to 3 beaches where every grain could be a payday. Don't believe it? In 1965, a Tanzanian miner pulled a 16.27-carat ruby from the Umba Valley. It sold for over $10,000. That could be you, but only if you know what to look for and how to prove it. Let's get one thing straight. I grew up in Antwerp, the diamond capital of the world. I've seen fortunes made and lost over a single stone. But the real action, it's not in velvet-lined showrooms. It's in the dirt, the surf, the places most people walk past without a second glance. Beaches from New York to Washington and from California to India. Some of them are paved with garnets. Not just a few, millions. Why? Because garnet is heavy with a specific gravity of 3.5, music, to 4.3. It is hard. Mohs hardness 6.5 to 7.5. It survives what quartz and feldspar cannot. Music, waves and rivers do the sorting for you. Stripping away the lightweights and leaving the red behind. That is placer deposit mechanics. And it is the reason you can scoop up a handful of sand and see 1,000 years of geology staring back. Let's start with the ground truth. Garnet Beach, Adirondacks, New York. You want access? A primitive road. No lifeguards. No gift shop. Just you, the lake, and the sand. Park along the eastern shore, hike in, and you'll see it. Bands of deep red, especially after a storm. Most of what you'll find is armandine, the workhorse of the garnet world. Iron-rich, slightly magnetic, dodecahedral crystals if you're lucky. Under 5 mm, it's sand. But every so often, you'll spot a chunk big enough to make your heart skip. No major documented public finds on record here, but the geology is right. And the Barton Mines are just up the road. Now, Barton Mines, Gore Mountain, New York. This isn't just a mine. It's the world's largest garnet operation running since 1878. Henry Hudson. Barton bought the whole mountain, and for good reason. The garnets here are monsters, some up to a meter across. Most go to sandpaper and water jet cutting, but during World War II, Barton garnet polished the glass for bomber sights and aircraft canopies. Want to see it for yourself? The mine is open to the public from July through early October. Tours run 3 times a day, 10:30, 12:30, and 3 o'clock. Adults pay $18, children pay $10, and you pay by the pound for what you haul out. The site is flat, wheelchair accessible, and you can dig at pit number 1. I have seen families walk out with buckets of rough, some of it clean enough to cut. The biggest single crystal on record was nearly a meter across, but so far there is no gem-quality monster with a name and price tag yet. Let's move west. Ruby Beach, Olympic National Park, Washington. You drive down Highway 101. Park on the bluff and walk a short trail to the surf. The sand here is dark, almost black. But look close. After every big tide, you will see streaks of red. That is garnet, sorted by the Pacific's relentless waves. No major named finds, but the density in is real. I have run, music, a magnet through the sand and watched the grains jump. Most are armandine under 5 mm, but the occasional larger piece turns up, especially after storms. The best time is late spring through early fall when the tides are right and the crowds thin out. Stinson Beach, California, 20 m from San Francisco, music, but a world away. Free parking if you get there early. Bus service if you don't. The sand is pale, but after a winter storm, you will see red lines at the high tide mark. Again, mostly armandine, but the occasional pyrope shows up. Deeper red, less iron, less magnetic. No documented public finds with names and values, but the geology matches. The real trick here is patience. Most stones are small, but every so often a clean, facete piece turns up in the pan. Let's talk about the science. Quick and dirty the way I learned it in Antwerp, but with mud on my boots. Garnet survives where others don't because it is dense and tough. Specific gravity is 3.5 to 4.3. Music, that means when a river floods or a wave crashes, quartz and feldspar get swept away and garnet settles. Over centuries, storms and tides concentrate the red, winnowing out the weak. That's why you see bands of garnet-rich sand after every big blow. It's not magic. It's physics. Now you want to know what you are looking at. Here is how you prove it. Field tests. No nonsense. First, the magnet test. Grab a $3 neodymium magnet from Music any hardware store. Hold it over your sample. If it is almandine, Music, you will feel a slight pull and maybe see the grains twitch. No other red gemstone, Music, does that. Not ruby, not spinel, and not glass. Second, the scratch test. Find a piece of glass, an old bottle, or a window. It does not matter. Try to scratch it with your stone. Garnet on the MO scale 6.5 to 7.5 will leave a mark. Glass will not scratch garnet. If your stone fails this test, toss it. Third, specific gravity. You need a $15 digital pocket scale and a cup of water. First, weigh your stone dry. Then, weigh it while suspended in water. Divide the dry weight by the difference between the dry weight and the suspended weight. If you get 3.5 to 4.3, you are in business. Anything lighter is probably Music, quartz or glass. Last, the loop test. An $8 jewelers loop, 10 times magnification from Amazon or any gem shop. Look for dodecahedral crystals with 12 faces and sharp edges. Natural garnet, especially almandine, favors Music, that shape. Glass is rounded with no faces and may contain a bubble or two. Let's get specific about value. Most beach garnets are under 5 mm, worth pennies, maybe a few dollars a pound if you sell to an abrasive dealer. But find a clean facete stone between 1 and 5 carats. And now you are talking $50 to $500 depending on color and clarity. Pyrope and rotoli, especially from Tanzania's Umba Valley, are the real prizes. In 1965 a miner pulled a 16.27 carat Ruli round brilliant cut from the Umba River gravels. No name is on record, but the stone sold for over $10,000. That is $600 a carat, and the market has only gotten hotter. Large, clean rotolites, 10 carats and up, can hit $1,000 a carat if the color is right. But here is the truth. Odds are low. For every 1,000 stones you pick up, maybe one is clean enough to cut. Most are too small, too included, too dark. That is the honest math. And anyone who tells you different is selling a dream. If you want more locations like this, exact coordinates, field guides, stones most people overlook, subscribe now. I have spent years mapping these sites from the Adirondacks to the outback. I will show you where the geology lines up, where the access is legal, and where the odds, while never great, are better than zero. Let's get back to the types. Almandine is the bread and butter. Deep red, ironry, slightly magnetic, and it often forms dodecahedral crystals. Pyrope is magnesiumry, less magnetic, a deeper red, and sometimes shows a purplish hue. Rotoli is the sweet spot. A mix of pyrope and almandine. Purplish red with high brilliance. And the best stones come from Tanzania's Umba Valley. The difference is more than color. Almandine is common industrial but still beautiful. Pyrope and rotoli are rare and the market knows it. Dealers in Music, Antwerp pay a premium for clean rotoli, especially over 5 carat. I've seen stones go from riverbank to auction house in under a month. Let's talk field tests in detail. The magnet test is your first filter. Almandine's iron content gives it a weak magnetic pull. Use a neodymium magnet N35 or N52 grade costing $3 to $10 online. Hold it close to your sample. If you see movement, you are likely holding almandine. Pyropia and spessartine have less iron and show less response. Ruby, spinel, and glass show no response. The scratch test is next. Use a MO pick set if you have one, costing $15 to $90, but a piece of glass works in a pinch. Garnet scratches glass, not the other way around. If your stone cannot mark glass, it is not garnet. For specific gravity, a $15 pocket scale and a $30 specific gravity kit make it easy, but you can rig it with a cup and some fishing line. Weigh your stone dry, then weigh it in water. Divide the dry weight by the loss in water. If you get 3.5 to 4.3, you are in the right range. Glass is lighter, quartz is lighter. Ruby overlaps in range but is not magnetic. The loop test is about habit. Garnet forms dodecahedral or trapezoedral crystals. Look for sharp faces, natural inclusions, and no bubbles. Glass is smooth and sometimes has air pockets. Ruby and spinel have different crystal shapes, hexagonal and octahedral, respectively. Maine's coastline is a wild card. No major named finds, but the river mouths and rocky coves are loaded with heavy mineral sands. Access changes with the tides and collecting rules shift from park to park. India's southern beaches, especially in Tamil Nadu, are famous for garnet sands. Some areas are under mining leases. Some are open, but the density is off the charts. Australia's Tunyui Beach and the sands near Geraldton in Western Australia have the same story. Heavy mineral bands, garnet rich. But check local rules before you fill your pockets. Now, the Barton mine story. Henry Hudson Barton in 1878 on Gore Mountain in New York bought the mountain and started digging. And by the early 1900s, Barton Mines was the world's largest garnet producer. During World War II, Barton Garnet polished the glass for bomber, music, sights, aircraft canopies, and even the optics for the Manhattan Project. The mine is still running, still open to the public, and still turning out the world's hardest garnet. The biggest crystal on record was nearly a meter across, but most of what you will find is fist-sized or smaller. No single gem-quality stone with a name and price tag, but the potential is there. Every year, collectors pull out museum-quality specimens. Faces sharp as a knife, color deep as blood. Let's talk about the one mistake most people make. Music, they focus on size, not quality. A big cloudy stone is worth less than a small, clean one. Clarity, color, and cut. That's what matters. I have seen stones the size of a pea sell for $500, music, and stones the size of a walnut go for scrap. The market is ruthless, and Antwerp buyers do not care about your story, only the stone. Now, the climax. Picture this. Umber Valley, Tanzania, 1965. Rain season, the river running high. A miner, his name lost to history, wades into the gravel and sifts for sapphires. He finds a deep purplish red crystal, rough but, music-y clean. He pockets it, thinking it is just another outcast. Months later, a dealer in Arusha cuts it. It becomes a 16.27 carat round, brilliant, flawless stone. The stone sells for over $10,000. Enough to buy a house. The miner's hands shook when he saw the money. That's the dream. It happens. Not often, but enough to keep you looking. Here's your practical takeaway. If you want to find real garnet, you need 4 things: a $3 neodymium magnet, a piece of glass, a $15 pocket scale, and an $8 loop. Test for magnetism. Armandine will respond. Scratch the glass. Garnet will mark it. Weigh for specific gravity. 3.5 to 4.3 is your window. Check the crystal shape. Dodecahedral is the giveaway. Do not trust your eyes alone. The difference between a $1 curiosity and a $1,000 gem is science, not luck. So next time you walk a beach, Garnet Lake, Ruby Beach, Stinson, or some nameless cove, remember every grain of sand is a survivor. Heavy, hard, and old as the hills. Most are worth pennies, but a few are worth a fortune. The only way to know is to test, to dig, to look closer than the next person. That is how fortunes are made. One stone, one test at a time.